Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of In the Red with Curtis White. This week, we have a great show for you with two incredible guests. We have Gage Hecht and Katie Clouse, both accomplished athletes in their own right. It was great to sit down together and chat about each other's races and experiences throughout this European block and really throughout the entire season. But before we dive into that, a couple quick notes I want to run by everyone. First, I want to let you all know that this episode is sponsored by Whoop. Whoop is a personalized digital fitness, health, and recovery tool that I've been using for really this entire season, but for a couple of years now. The wristband and app have helped me monitor my recovery, my sleep, and my overall health as I'm pushing my body to its limits in pursuit of my goals. It measures basic biometrics like resting heart rate variability, respiratory rate, your daily strain, and with the new 4.0 band, skin temperature, blood oxygen, and more. Whoop has helped me form healthier habits around my training, my traveling, my racing, and really in life overall. To get in the green, you can go to whoop.com, that's WHOOP, and use the code INTHERED. No spaces, no capitals, so you can save on your first Whoop purchase. That's in the red to get in the green. I'll put that link in the show notes below. Also, I want to let you all know about a new event to pencil in on your calendars for the new year. May 22nd, 2022, look out for the Keuka Gravel Classic on Bike Reg. It's a brand new event starting out of the Steuben Brewery in Hammondsport, New York. My co-host here, Tony, used to run the Dirty Bucks Gravel Series a few years ago. Some of our Northeast listeners may remember, but he's a big driving force behind promoting this new event. The route is on a lot of the same roads that his series used to be on, with plenty of challenging sectors and beautiful views around the Finger Lakes area. We have an awesome route lined up, and plenty of New York Curtis Cyclocross Pilsners being brewed just in time for that event. Check it out on Bike Reg, and we'll throw the link in the show notes below. When registering on Bike Reg, you can use the code INTHERED, no capitals, no spaces, before the Cyclocross World Championships at the end of January to save on 10% of your registration. That's all I have for right now. Thanks for listening. Let's get into it.
Curtis White here from razendsnel in dat trappen. Ready to go here in Bredenau, and we are underway. Van der Poel alongside Curtis White. Tonart right alongside him, and it's the American that gets a whole shot.
Dat was ronde 1 en ook de laatste.
The coffee tasted good this morning. He's got a new podcast, In the Red. To see him with such a great start today, I know a lot of American fans are going to be really pumped by this.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of In the Red with Curtis White. We're kicking off the curse period here, racing in Belgium. Merry Christmas, happy holidays to everyone listening here. It's a really exciting time. Tony, my friend, my co-host here, off of school. He's on break. We're dealing with some microphone stuff, and we have Gage Hecht and Katie Clouse also here. We're all sharing the same Wi-Fi here in Sittard at the Watersley Sports Complex. So fingers crossed we have good connection. And, I'm really looking forward to this conversation. This is the most people that we've had on the podcast at once. So guys, how is everything?
Good. Yeah.
Things are good.
Watersley's great.
Katie and I are seeing each other a little too much. I think she's bunking just across the hallway here. We're always bumping into each other in the kitchen, fighting for the stove space. But
Yep.
Gage, how's everything in the USA Cycling House? You're only probably 100 meters away from us.
Yeah. Well, I see you guys head out for rides all the time. It's good. It's fun to be with a lot of younger riders and see you guys kind of coming into the sport a little bit more and getting to experience Europe for the first time. It's been pretty entertaining.
Yeah, I always have had very fond memories of growing up in the USA Cycling development pipeline and coming over for both road opportunities and also cyclocross. And yeah, there's been a lot of time away from home during the holidays and racing cyclocross and committing myself to developing as an athlete and pursuing the sport. But it's really cool to see, junior boys and girls, under 23 boys and girls, and now also they're supporting elites coming over here to try and compete at the highest level and continue to progress. So it's really cool to see
that direction is still being pursued with USA Cycling. And just this location that we stay in Sittard, we've probably been here 8 or 9 years now. Gage, how long have you been coming to Sittard?
Oh, that's a hard question. I mean, it's been since I started coming to Europe when I was 15, I think was my first time coming over here for road.
Yeah.
So yeah, like that's 8 years for me. And I think I was kind of at the beginning of it. But we weren't in this complex yet. We were just across town in like a hotel area. So
Oh, yeah, the old Fitland. I rode by that today, and you wouldn't even recognize that there was a building there. It's everything's overgrown. It's like a nice little park with a soccer field in the back, and there's trees where I thought the buildings used to be. And it's kind of cool to see how that little area where we used to stay has changed and evolved so much, but then also the town that we've been staying in. And it's, for those who are from the last time we recorded, we were experiencing the first initial shutdowns from the Dutch government. And some things have changed since we recorded last week, Tony. I believe where we recorded last Monday or Tuesday. The Dutch government put a hard lockdown. The Belgian government was meeting to discuss further lockdowns. And since then, the Belgian government has imposed no fans or spectators at races. It's affected a couple of races. Degum was canceled. A couple of others were put on notice, but it seems like we're able to continue our schedule pretty much as planned. We were a little spoiled. We had the fans come back from Namur, but what did things look like from your end as a spectator viewing it from New York?
It looks good, but obviously you see the lack of fans. From a spectator point of view, though, I don't think it really matters that much. It doesn't affect us maybe the same way it affects you guys when you're there actually racing. But for me, Curse Period is full of Christmas cookies and coffee from the couch, so I'm having fun with it. But I definitely have a bone to pick because I don't think that Sunday's race is over. Dendermonde definitely is not over, at least not on the women's side. There was one more lap to go in that race, and if you saw Lucinda Brand's face when she crossed that line, she knew she was in trouble. Clara Hansinger wins that race with one more lap. I think this 47-minute stuff is nonsense. That's some Cat 4 stuff. These are the best women in the world. They should be racing for an hour. That's my take. I want to see an hour, and I want to see one, maybe two more laps out of that race.
All right, Katie, what's your take? You for racing an hour?
Yeah.
Katie's face after Dendermonde, it was like the life was gone, and it was just, I think that was everyone after Dendermonde. We call it the Dender Monster.
That was a 50-minute race for me, so it met my expectations.
How was Katie? You were here for a Euro block of racing earlier in the year before national championships. You were here for about 3 weeks, almost a month. And you had some really incredible results. You scored a career best of 9th in Besançon. Yeah. How was that block in November, and then coming back to the national championships, and then what's it like being back here? Because it's, for me, this is the first European block of the year. I'm excited. I'm fresh, but you've already had some awesome racing here. Like what's it kind of been like for you?
Yeah, the first block was good. I decided to come over a little bit later than Clara. Clara kind of came over about 2 weeks earlier to race Overijse and then Koppenberg, which she won, which was really cool to watch from home. But yeah, I kind of decided to take the 2 weeks and stay at home and train a little bit. And then, so I came over and raced actually the day after I got here. So that was definitely kind of hard to get into, but then we had Tabor World Cup, and it went a little bit better. And then I think every week started progressively getting better until, the last week, Besançon, where, it was my best race probably ever. So it was pretty cool. I think, it was a good block, and I got some super good training in with Clara, just some good racing. I think it really helped me going into nationals, being able to race like pretty much every weekend almost was muddy and a true crosser. So I think it really helped going into nationals. I took a decent break after, and then went right into nationals. Nationals went really well, and then back over here, and I'm definitely feeling the effects of jet lag and travel and everything. But it's good. It's been a good block so far. So I'm excited to start this Christmas block up.
Yeah. And you were, I mean, all throughout this time balancing your academics with sport, right?
Yeah.
What's that balance been like for you?
Yeah, it's been hard. Obviously, I think a lot of actually athletes go through this. My teachers are working super well with me, and it really helps being at a varsity school where like my coaches can interact with all the teachers and let them know what's going on. And it is like a high priority for our school because, I mean, our team has won multiple Omnium varsity national championships for the team.
Sorry, not to interrupt, but where do you go to school again?
I go to Colorado Mesa in Grand Junction.
Okay.
Yeah.
We had an entire debate over breakfast. What's the difference between a plateau, a mesa, and a butte? And then an escarpment was thrown in there. So it was probably like a 45-minute discussion about, oh, this is a butte. No, this is just a large mesa or a small mesa. Nope, that's a plateau. No, this is an escarpment. So any event, not to interrupt, but okay, Colorado Mesa. How many more years do you have left?
I'm supposed to have about a year and a half, but I think it'll be 2.5. So just like, again, that balancing act, I think like trying to take a good amount of credits to keep me a full-time student and not putting me to like 6 or 7 years of college, but also like being able to take like a good load where I can still maybe be a little bit behind, but I can also obviously race my bike and not be so stressed out all the time over classes and training and traveling. So it's been a process to like balance it all and figure it all out. But I think, I mean, with the help of like the team and school and everything, I've been doing well with it. So
yeah, that's awesome. Engaged too. You are also at a point balancing your studies, your academics with racing at a really high level. What were you studying and what was that like for you?
Yeah. I mean, I graduated technically a couple of days ago, so I'm pretty excited.
Congratulations.
Done with that. So finally, it was like Katie was saying, it was kind of tough because I went more the taking a patient way of doing things and trying to take like limit the amount of school I'd be doing a year so I could really dedicate myself to cycling. So I started taking college credit courses my junior year, and I'm 23 now, so I'm like a couple years overdue, even though I started early. I think it's like 7 years of taking college courses. So it's a bit extended. So, it ended up okay. Obviously, there's a few battles I had to fight with professors and trying to get assignments moved and classes moved around to see if you can make up work. So it was a bit tough at times, but for the most part, the school is really helpful with scheduling stuff, and yeah, it's nice to actually have it off my shoulders now.
And what were you studying?
All right, aviation and aerospace science. Basically, just like
big deal.
Pilot stuff. Yeah, I always say that, and people get like engineering and like high level calculus and all this stuff in their heads. It's like I took one class of physics and that's all the degree required.
One class of physics, that's all it takes to fly a plane?
That and a bunch of trig stuff, but that's
No, that's awesome. I graduated a couple of years ago. I received my diploma was mailed to me at the week I was racing the World Championships in Denmark a couple of years ago in Bonza. So I've been out of school for a couple of years, but I always have immense respect for athletes who are able to find that balance or try to pursue their academics with sport, because we do live a very fortunate lifestyle, being able to compete at the highest level and pursue our passions. But at the end of the day, you're not going to be an athlete until you're 65 years old, right? I mean, at some point, kind of the legs stop working as well, and it's nice to have that fallback. And it's a grind, it's a drive, and it's a tough balance. It's not always easy, but certainly a lot of respect goes out to all the athletes that are trying to find that balance.
Yeah, definitely. I took 6 or 7 years of college before my master's degree, and I wasn't trying to race at a high level. So congratulations to you guys. You're actually racing. I was just screwing off. So awesome. Gage, you're going to be a commercial pilot. Is that the goal? Like after you?
That's the goal. Yeah, that's the goal. It's been a dream of mine since I was probably like 14 or 15. I started flying like flight simulators with a few of my buddies, and just I slowly worked my way into that. My grandparents were super stoked when they heard that I was into planes, and they bought me a flight lesson, and things kind of stuck after that. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm down to medical right now with a head injury that I had a couple years ago now. So trying to see if I can get that back, and yeah, we'll see. We'll see if it ends up happening. If I get that back, then yeah, for sure, I'll be trying for that commercial pilot. We'll be trying to find some other career in aviation, probably.
That's cool. Although I don't know if I like that or not with your ability to push the limits on a bike. I might be a little bit scared of you flying me around in a plane, popping wheelies and that kind of stuff. I don't know if that'll translate to your handling. Maybe it'll be really fun. Maybe it'll be terrifying. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. You know, in cycling, you get to know limitations really well, and I feel like that transfers well to flying.
I could just see Gage like 20 years from now, like landing it, like giving the message back to all the passengers. All right, folks, buckle up. There's going to be a bumpy landing. And
Right.
just full send.
Like he's sliding into the pits, to get a new plane, getting back up in the air.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, it's all good fun, but yeah, that's good stuff. So I kind of have to poke funny a little bit, Gage, because you look pretty tired right now. I'm not gonna lie. We raced the Dender Monster on Sunday, and then Zolder was yesterday. Katie and I and Clara also decided not to race, but you had a solid ride. But how's the body feeling today? How are the legs?
I'm a little sore. They're like, we talked about this. There's such opposite courses. Like Dendermonde is so heavy, and it's just like a threshold effort all day, and it just kind of drains you. And then Zolder is just either full throttle or coasting. Like there's no in between. So it's not much of this threshold thing so much as just sprinting all the time. So it's like both systems got worked in 48 hours super heavily. And now I'm like, my back's sore, my legs are sore. We've been out for a ride today, and we're all kind of like a little sluggish, complaining a little bit about the rain and how tired we are. So
definitely like needed an extra pot of coffee this morning.
Oh yeah. I don't drink much coffee, but I was tempted to this morning.
So Katie, we'll start with you. How did your race go in Dendermonde? That was, I mean, for those who saw it last year, we had Storm Bella rolling in. There was a ton of precipitation. It was a wide open farm field. It had almost 3 minutes of running a lap, but this year we had some new features. We had 2 stair run-ups, a sand pit that was like a sandy descent. They used the side of this hill well. They had extra whoops, and it was kind of a fun course. And how did your race go, and how did you enjoy it?
Yeah, overall, I think it went pretty well. I think so. The start, I mean, I'm lining up 5th row in these World Cups, so it's like kind of been a little bit, I need to be patient, but I really like that start. So I've been trying to make up as much time as I can, because I feel like, I'm lining up 5th row, and then top 20 is already gone by the time
there have been a couple of races where you've had some really strong starts where you've been able to get around that and like still be in the top 10. Like that takes a lot of skill.
Yeah, and on Sunday, I think I had actually a better start than I have. I think I worked my way up to the top 20, which was super cool. And I think that helps a lot when I can do that, and I'm just able to get in the middle of the pack instead of be already 20 seconds back in the first couple corners. Because I feel it's helped me a lot when I'm further up and I don't have to chase as much and burn as many matches, obviously, because I'm going to do a lot of that during the race. But yeah, I think I've had this kind of issue that me and my coach have definitely been working on a lot, just like kind of the last 2 laps, me losing some time a little bit, just obviously doing a huge effort, but I don't think I have as much of I think I'm a lot more punchy right now instead of having that endurance to last the 50 minutes. So I think the first half of the race went super well. And I was fighting for a top 15, and then I kind of started to fade a little bit and some girls passed me. So yeah, I mean, I'm happy with the race overall. I think I'm still a little bit fatigued, but I'm definitely starting to come around from Rookfin into Murrins and the jet lag and everything. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And even then, you still finished what, 19th in the end?
Yeah. Yeah.
So with the women, the under 23s are racing with the elites. How have you been stacking up with the under 23s? Because through the November block, it seemed like you had a couple podiums or top threes with the under 23 rankings, and you look at what's going on with the Dutch development pipeline right now, like they're just, the athletes that are coming out of that pipeline are just incredible, and they're competing at a high level. Like, and they have the depth, and it's really encouraging to see a nation kind of investing that much in development. But
yeah, I've been kind of like between like either like fourth, fifth, or sixth in the U23s, pretty regularly fourth, just behind Sharon, Puck, and Fem. Those three constantly, or I mean, it's just switching between those three, whoever finishes top three or first, second, or third between them. So it has been a little frustrating. Fourth has been definitely oh, look, I'm fourth again. That's kind of like after every race I look, I'm like, oh, okay. And, I try to like look at the bright side and be like, oh, I didn't finish 3 minutes back from them today. It was only like a minute or two. So, it's kind of been, all progress, kind of trying to make up some time behind them. Obviously, they're competing with the world's best and challenging Lucinda Brand and Mariana Voss. So it's like, all I can do is just keep training and hope that I can make up a little bit of ground, and by Worlds at least, and be able to stick with them. I think it will be a different race with those, the top elite girls not challenging and pushing those girls as hard. So hopefully that'll change the race up a little bit and maybe give me a chance, but we'll see.
Do you feel as though they're coming over earlier in November, you're seeing the benefits of that, like technically how to race the flow of the race and kind of having that, that instinct, the reaction time that like really only racing brings?
Yeah, I think so. Especially like I missed all last season. So being able to get back into to European racing a little bit earlier and not kind of jumping right into the Christmas block and these huge like known races that are for like, I think doing last block was good for me just to figure out how to race a Europe World Cup again. So yeah.
It's a shock. It's a total shock to the system. Like when we came over for Rookfin, Gage, were you in Rookfin?
No.
Oh, you started in Namur?
Yeah, Namur was my first one.
I feel like it's almost easy, like not easier to start at Namur because Namur is one of the hardest courses that we have. But we kind of touched on this last week where in Namur, it's more like you versus the course. And you kind of set your own expectations and limits of where you are and how to pace that effort. But in a race like Rookfin, where it's so sharp and you're dealing with the jet lag and coming, off the plane with the travel, like it's almost more challenging to be you versus your competitors on a really sharp, punchy course, and having that like just that wire focus for the entire hour and that intensity. And it almost takes a couple weeks of racing to dial that in to where you are, like a race like Zolder, where you have that instinct to react, or that race like, again, that reaction time. So, I mean, do you feel like you're coming around after the jet lag?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like the jet lag, I think kind of for me, it wears off pretty like in a few days after I come here, maybe like 4 or 5 days. I mean, to get through the first few races is sometimes a little tricky, but yeah, I think like you said, I think the reactiveness is the hardest part for me. I think we race in America so often where the top end, like the top 5 guys, are relatively similarly paced. Obviously, we have our own little differences in how we ride, but we get to know each other pretty well throughout the year. And we come over here to where these guys, even the guys that we race in the region of, they're used to racing, trying to keep up with the faster guys. So they have a little bit of a different technique than we do. And that gets to be it's just a big adjustment. It's so much faster and so much harder than, like we can typically push ourselves to do in the States, just us. So I think we're coming up to that level, but it's still different. And I know it's funny talking to the U23s about that. For a lot of them, this is actually like their first elite race as well in Zolder. And it's like, they're just so shocked that people could do that pace for an hour. Like they
Yeah,
thought
I did see like Strohmeyer was racing yesterday, and a couple like was Funston as well.
Yes, Funston, Strohmeyer, and Sam were all racing.
Okay.
And it's just like it's just so much different than I think what they're used to. It's just crazy.
Yeah. No, totally. And it's really another level. And Gage, you were on the same schedule as I was this year, where we chose to stay domestic and race a domestic schedule all the way up until the national championships. And then we came over to Europe, which was nice to have more time at home and be able to train from home and be in our routines a little bit more and be around family through more of the year. But do you feel as though, I mean, you've done the blocks a number of different ways where you've come over. I believe the year that you won nationals in Tacoma, you were in Europe a couple weeks before racing. Do you feel like racing in Europe before nationals or earlier in the year helps you through this Christmas period?
Totally. I think you just like, it's almost like motor pacing being over here, except for you're in races. You just get forced to do paces that are faster than normally you would force yourself to in training. So I really like that about being over here. And I like that I've done that in years past. I think with how much racing we did over here late in the season on the roadside, it was probably a better choice not to do that this year. And it was nice to be home and get some, with the UCI scheduling points the way they did, it was nice to try to get caught up on that. So I wasn't starting so far back. I'm still, I think, third row in the World Cups, but it's nice to have just a few extra spaces in front of me that I don't have to catch up. So,
yeah. But even then, you're still having really strong starts. Like in Dendermonde, you were, I think I saw you were like 12th or 13th, like right up there in that, like right on the second group. You had like the Wout Mathieu group that were starting to go away with Tone, and then you had that second group that was a little bit bigger and regrouping, and you were just on the tail end of that, and that was a couple wheels ahead of me, and I was like, God damn, like that's, if I had a better start, I'd like to be up there. But again, Dendermonde's just such a unique course where it's so heavy that everyone had to almost race their own race. And and you came back a little bit after a couple laps, but it's still like I've seen this ability where even from the third row, you have a good start, or you're able to position yourself well into that like second group area.
Totally.
That's something where I want to do as well, where it's kind of like I've raced enough consistent races over here where I want to see, like, have that good start, be in that second group, and just see how long I can hold on for.
Yeah.
And that's just like, and it's so difficult to describe to people just the level of like where the sport is, but it's like you're breathing through your eye sockets, just on the rivet the entire time, and you could slide out at any moment. It's just, it's an incredible feeling as an athlete, but it's just, you don't get that intensity really anywhere else.
No,
really, not anywhere in the States. And even in the States, we're pushing each other to our limits, and we don't always have predictable winners, but between you, Carrie, myself, Bruner, but it's the difference is having 20 guys that are as fast, if not faster than you here. Not one or two.
Yeah. The speed that we're racing at is still like, we'd still be getting dropped by the top five. They'd be gapping us. So it's just crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing I kind of also wanted to talk about was earlier in the block, we had this break between, we did Rookvan and Namur the first weekend, then we had 6 or 7 days off until we had to race Dendermonde. And now from here on out, the racing really picks up. We had Dendermonde on Sunday, Zolder on Monday, Thursday is Lowenhout, Saturday is Ball, Sunday is Hulst, the World Cup there, and then the following Wednesday, I believe, is Herentals. Like it just, the racing, it really picks up from here. So we don't have a lot of opportunities to train together, really. I mean, we're able to do shorter rides and recovery spins or short endurance rides through this period. But that week between Namur and Dendermonde, we were able to get some good training time in with training in this forest close by. It's a sandy forest, Brunsmeide, that we found out a couple of years ago. And it's such a nice area. It's sandy. And so it was Maddie Monroe, Katie, Gage, myself, Andrew Strohmeyer, Scott Funston, and we made a loop and we were doing skills and drills and intervals in the woods. And that was just having that camaraderie of all 6 of us and us 4 guys being able to push each other through, this technical single track and flowing. Like we did a number of drills where Gage had the advantage or I had the advantage and, was able to, Funston was off the back one lap. Then the next interval we did, he's on the front and able to take advantage of a mistake I made. And it's all like this fun. It's a fun environment. Like we're able to just kind of train and like laugh it off. Like, hey man, that was a nice pass you made. Or, there isn't a worry about you give someone a quick elbow and no one's going to take it personally. And that's something that I feel like we're missing in the States. Like, do you think there's an opportunity for us at some point throughout the year to get all of the top American or North American cross athletes in one location to just train for a week or 2?
Yeah, I mean, I think there could be. I would like to see that in the future. I'd like to see that happen more. Because I think even during that I think it was like hour that we spent just doing some skills in the woods together, it was like you see that we're able to push each other a lot harder than I think we each would individually do if we were doing our own skills training session like that. And we're able to push each other, but we don't have the pressure of having to win the race that weekend so that we get UCI points or something, or so that we get the paycheck at the end of the day. Like there's not this higher goal at the training. It's just like we're out there having fun. If somebody's better at something, then no pressure. It's like, I'm just going to work to be better at that. It's not like it's going to cost us anything to be a little bit worse at something. So I think it was really good for the way we were building things as far as skills and fitness. But I think it's also good for the camaraderie that we're getting as Americans racing over here, trying to grow into this like kind of foreign setting. I think we talked about this a lot on the way back, is that a lot of these Euros are doing this sort of thing together weekly. And we as Americans, for the most part, it seems like kind of have our own little pockets, and each one of us comes from a different pocket. Carrie's coming from Virginia, you're coming from Massachusetts, Lance is coming from California, Eric and I are coming from kind of the Front Range, but kind of opposite sides of Denver and don't get together a whole lot. So like the best in the country and the guys that are really competitive with each other are only riding together on race weekends. And I think if we got together a little bit more, we may have the opportunity to kind of grow more like the Belgian programs that are able to do that weekly.
Yeah. Katie, are you able to, like, on a regular basis back home in Colorado, whether it's, at Colorado Mesa, are you able to train with your peers regularly?
Yeah, I think so. My team sends up like a Wednesday cyclocross practice kind of thing. I have Scotty, the U23 Pan Am and US national champion, as my teammate. So that helps a lot. And I have some other guys that are from Boulder that go to CMU now who are like super, super good and super fast. And then obviously I have Maddie as my teammate as well. So I think when I come over here, it's definitely a little bit more organized. But we do our best in Junction. We don't have trails like Brunsum or anything like that. So we kind of just do our best with what we can. But I think we're in the process of trying to make something where we can all train together and push each other. So yeah, that's been super good. And I think that's been helpful with skills and everything, and just trying to learn how to ride new things. And especially when Brandon Fix lived in Junction and Gage would come out all the time, we kind of have this little place in Junction to go and just practice our skills. And I just chase around the boys trying to keep up with them on all the rides. So yeah.
That was always fun.
Yeah.
I should mention, now that you mentioned Brandon Fix, that I do train with him a lot. I was trying to make a point of that we're all living in separate parts, but I've been living with him a good part of the year, and he's been a good training partner. So I don't want to get slack or get yelled at.
Oh, he's going to take it personally now.
I know. So yeah, he has been a great training partner to have this year.
Yeah. And someone like Brandon, for those who've been following the sport domestically in the US, he's an athlete who's stepped up his game. He has his own program now, and he was on the podium in a couple of races. And it's encouraging to see an athlete like him kind of making gains and starting to perform at a higher level and figuring out, how to perform and train consistently and kind of dedicate himself to the sport. And there was that time where we had that Northampton and Falmouth where everyone was together for a week. Stephen Hyde, former teammate and mentor, he was able to put together a big training session in East Hampton, Massachusetts, in Western Massachusetts. And that was really cool to get a lot of athletes who were from all over the country, who weren't from the Western Mass area, but were there for Northampton and Falmouth. And in the middle of the week was able to get everyone together for a solid training session. And that's the camaraderie that we're looking for. And it's difficult to have that on a regular basis. But if we can do a couple weeks training camp in Colorado, like in July, there was a training camp that I did. I stayed with my cousins out in Boulder, but trying to get athletes together where I think, Gage, you and I were talking about our schedules didn't quite meet up in July. You're busy racing with the Volo on the road. And, but we were able to get Eric Bruner, a lot of those Boulder racers together to just train and get some skills in. And that's really where we're able to push ourselves. And even when you were out for Falmouth and Northampton, we caught a training ride together that week. And that was really cool, where we're able to just from a, social aspect, kind of put away the race aggression, where it's, you kind of have the knife between the teeth once the gun goes off, and, you don't think twice about giving someone an elbow or trying to not in an overly aggressive way, but it's, you're racing. But then when you're outside the tape and you have to train together or improve, and you both have similar goals, like that's where the training together, kind of that camaraderie, it really does help develop the sport. So I hope that my hope is that there could be more organized training camps or training opportunities, whether it's through, just us athletes taking the initiative and communicating with each other and making those training opportunities, or whether USA Cycling's involved with that or whatever. I think that for us to continue to develop, we just need to keep creating opportunities for ourselves to train together, build that camaraderie, and then, coming over just a little bit more prepared every time. So, Katie, what's your schedule looking like for the rest of this block?
I am racing Lona, Ball, and then Holst. I was really debating yesterday on racing Zolder, but I think I'm definitely happy with the decision on racing with how fast that race was yesterday.
Gage looks like he's about to take a nap right now.
Yeah, so I'm so Lona, Ball, Holst, and then I actually fly home Monday. I think I talked to my coach a lot about it, and just decided the best thing for me is do this big block, Christmas block, get some really good racing, quality racing in, and then head home, maybe take a little bit of a break. And then, just kind of ramp it up for Worlds, because we got about a month when I got home till Worlds, and it's kind of, Claire and I kind of were talking about it a little bit, but I think Worlds, obviously race fitness is great, and that's what makes you really strong. But I think we're, with the course at Fayetteville, like what it's looking like, it's just going to be, I think, a race of fitness. And I think that's going to be super big for me as well, just being able to power up that hill as hard as I can every single lap. So try to stay with those Dutch girls. So head home and just kind of gear up for Worlds.
Nice. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Gage, what about you?
So I'm still kind of thinking I'm low and out now. I think the way I'm feeling today, I might need an extra day off. So we'll figure out that tonight, probably before I go to bed, whether or not I'm going to do low and out. But then after that, we'll do Ball, Holst, and Herensels, and then go home on the 6th. And then
nice.
Yeah, and then I'm trying to figure out kind of what my schedule is going to be like in January. We'll get some good training in before going to Fayetteville. I have to go out to California for some visa stuff to get ready to race on the road. And
you both are going to be teammates on Rally. It's Human Powered Health now. You both are going to be teammates next year. That's really exciting. When do you ramp things up on the road?
For me, I'll be starting up racing in mid-March.
Mhm.
It looks like.
Nice. Katie, what about you?
I think about the same time. Hopefully mid-March. Maybe a
Nice.
little later.
So there's been
Oh,
some
good.
speculation that if you guys go to Human Powered Health, that you guys won't be racing cyclocross next year. And I've heard that conversation around both of you guys. Any insight you can give us about what cyclocross might look like for you next year?
I don't specifically know what my plans are yet. I think that's still a lot to discuss with both teams, with Cannondale and Human Powered Health. So I think I'm focusing on worlds, getting through road worlds, cross worlds, and then having that discussion probably very soon. But I can't give you any more that I don't know much.
All right. Well, fingers crossed. We're rooting for it. What about you, Gage? Any idea what your cross season might look like as you make this transition?
Yeah, you know what? That's hard because I as I'm joining this great, awesome team, it's going to be definitely a big focus of mine to be ready to go on the road and be doing stuff for them. So cross might have to take a little back seat. I'd like to still keep it involved, but I'm just not sure the capability I'll have to do that.
All right. Well, we're hoping you're come back.
Because it definitely raises the level and it makes me be a better athlete. So fingers crossed.
Well, and all the rage is multi-discipline riders now, right? I mean, best riders in the world are doing everything. So, hopefully we'll see you guys doing the same thing. I did want to ask you quickly, though. I asked Curtis this last week, kind of building off the interview that Bill did with Jeremy Powers a week or so ago. They were talking about sort of what Worlds meant to him when he raced it in 2014, and they were kind of speculating what it meant to you younger guys. So I was kind of curious if we could throw it at you two and just kind of tell us, what does it mean to have a U.S. Worlds for you guys at this point in your careers? Obviously, you're all at a little bit different spot, and I don't know how Worlds was for you the first time around in the U.S., but what's that like now at your age, at this point in your life, for World Championships on U.S. soil?
It's really exciting. I didn't get to race Louisville. I was too young for that at that point, but and I don't think I really comprehended how big it was that we had a big cross race, a World Championships on U.S. soil, and kind of the time I've spent racing over here, I've seen how major the sport is here and how rooted it is. And it's kind of exciting to see it come over to the States where it's maybe not as present with the, I guess, the public culture rather than just the cycling culture. So yeah, it's really exciting to have it come here, and I'm really stoked to get the chance to represent the home country at Worlds. And I'm really hoping that continuing to bring Europe to the States this year and eventually in the future, hopefully it'll happen again. We'll promote the sport in the States because we need to keep growing roots here and promoting it to the general public. We can't just keep feeding on the same cyclists that we've had for the last 20 years or so. So it's really exciting to see if this event will pull a lot of that from the surrounding areas. And I think, it's like there isn't any promise that it will come back to the States. So it's also, I take a lot of pride in getting the opportunity to race it this one time.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't even know if I was racing cross when Louisville happened. I'm not gonna lie.
Tony, I think you said it was 2014. I think it was 2013 was when Louisville came to, or when Louisville Worlds happened.
2013. So yeah,
2013.
Yeah, so I don't know if I was even racing cross. So I think it's really special, obviously, for Worlds to be on home soil. And I think it's super cool. We get to come over to Europe, and kind of the Europeans get to show us how they do their sport, over here, and how they do things over here. And we kind of get to learn how to do some things that they do over here for racing and everything like that. And so I think it's cool especially with the US World Cups, I think it's cool that we get to have that presence and have the Europeans come over here and kind of look and see how we kind of do it. And yeah, I mean, I hope that'll help grow our sport more over here. And I just know that a lot of people are really excited about Worlds being in the US. And I just know that a ton more people are going to, like look at this and be like, oh, like what's cyclocross, like looking at it more, and like hopefully that'll help grow it. I know there's like a lot of my friends who don't really even know kind of what cyclocross is are coming to Worlds, and they're going to see that, and their families are going to see that. So I think it's super cool to have it here in the US, and I think it's special that we get to experience that and race that. But I think it's also super special that we kind of get to expand it and grow it, and throughout, and just have people see it and kind of learn about cross. And
So I feel like I'm almost a different generation from you guys now, because I'm, kind of the old man in the room who raced. I was a second year junior when I raced Louisville Worlds, and it's that, second year junior racing that. So it's kind of crazy to see how far the sport has come. I want to talk about that. All right, but quick first, little trivia game between Gage, Katie Clouse, bragging rights, all the marbles. First answer wins. You guys ready?
Gosh. Yeah.
World Championships in Louisville. Who won the junior men?
I'm pretty sure it's Matthew.
Yep, that's correct. Gage 1, Katie 0. Who won the under 23 men?
I want to say it's Van Turnout, but I'm not sure.
Nope.
You got any guesses, Katie?
He's racing on the road right now with Yumbo.
Wow.
No. I think Wout was third that day.
You're really exposing.
He was Dutch.
Cycling knowledge. Is it Lars Bohm?
Nope.
No, he's not Yumbo, is he?
Oh,
You guys give up?
is there like a hint button?
His first name's Mike.
Oh God, I don't know.
It's Mike Tunison.
Mike Tunison.
All right, so we're gonna throw that one out. He and Wout are teammates now on the road. Who won the elite women?
Was it Voss?
Correct. Who won the elite men?
That was Sven, right?
Sven.
Yeah.
Who won the junior women?
There was no junior woman race.
Correct. Who won the under 23 women?
Know that. There was no U23 women race as well.
Yeah.
We know that one.
Yeah, and so that's kind of the point. So that's kind of the point I wanted to make, was that how far the sport has come over the last 10 years, where we didn't have an under 23 or junior women's categories. And now we have all those categories represented. And if you looked at the number of athletes that were racing the last couple of World Cups, go back and look at the start sheets. It's just, there's more athletes that have raced World Cups, I think, previously. I think the Namur World Cup had more starters than any previous World Cup to date. Like, that's wild. And it's in part because the junior categories are just so filled. They're massive, especially the women's categories. So having those two new categories in the World Championships. And then also we're looking at a team relay on Friday, I believe. So it's from the first time the World Championships came to the US to where we are now. It's been quite an evolution. So it's exciting to see, and hopefully we're able to get some good American performances out of that.
Yeah, I think I know it's definitely been difficult for some people to kind of look at and see that, why did it take this long? Why did it take this long to add a junior women's race, and why did it take so long to add a U23 women's race? And obviously there's still a lot to go. But I think, it takes notice. I know 2 years ago when they came out adding a separate 17-18 Women's World Cup. I think that, obviously, the sport can't be changed overnight. like it's hard to realize, yeah, it took this long, but we're seeing a lot of changes and it's growing tremendously. Like, and even seeing, like Zoe Vaxted getting top 20s in the Elite World Cups, like, and I think it's just helping the sport so much. You see these junior girls not having to race these races and fight for top 50s. And I think that's what's going to grow the sport. I know it's hard for girls to come into these races and be like, oh, I'm getting like 50th or 60th, and I'm just getting killed in these races. And I think adding these separate World Cups, it's like, I think the U23 field our levels are the top girls are so high up that I don't necessarily know if it would be beneficial to us to have a separate under 23 race, but I think it's definitely, I think the separate 17, 18 and having the world championship race, I think it's really good for the sport, especially women, because I just think it's growing, especially for women, a ton. So.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, it can be very frustrating at times when change doesn't happen at the rate that you want it to, but as an athlete and knowing my peers, and knowing that Katarina Nash and Steve Chanel are the athlete representatives on the UCI Cyclocross Commission, they do good work. Mm-hmm. Helen Wyman has probably done more to promote and create opportunities for junior women than just about anyone else.
Yeah.
With our Helen 100 series. And there's a lot of really exciting things around the sport of cyclocross for young athletes looking to come into the sport, try it out, or to develop and trying to reach a higher level. And you can kind of see that pipeline structure. So all exciting things. And it's encouraging to see kind of the evolution of the sport over the last 10 years or so, or certainly since the World Championships came to the US in the first place. So we covered a lot. Katie, Gage, are there anything more, or is there anything else you'd like to cover? I think Gage is ready for bed. It's 6:00.
It is getting close to my bedtime here.
I don't blame you, because the day after Dendermonde, I was just, oh my God, I felt like I got run over by a truck, and then the truck backed up over me again. Yeah. So it just from what I saw with the TV, it looked like there were a lot of tired legs, and you could kind of see the people who had bad races in Dendermonde had good races in Zolder. That, of course, like Dendermonde really does take a toll on the athletes.
Totally.
You don't have a lot of recovery time, and this period of racing is really intense. So we get a little bit more time for rest, a little bit more of a reprieve. Now that Deegan was canceled, Deegan was going to be on Wednesday night. That's not happening anymore because it's in the city and they weren't able to host their event with the no spectators and fans regulations. So the next race up is Lowenhout. So we get another day of rest, Lowenhout, then a day of rest, and then Ball, World Cup and Hulst, and then a couple of days rest before Herentals.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get a few more rest breaks in there.
Good stuff. Well, Gage, I'm going to let you go to bed.
Thank you.
I think it's almost time for our dinner. Tony, anything more you want to add before we log off?
No, man, this was awesome. Thank you guys so much. It was awesome to be able to talk to you. We've been talking for a while about trying to get both of you guys on, so getting you at the same time was great. I know Katie wasn't taking Curtis's calls for quite a while. He was begging to get her on the show, and she kept blowing him up. Which I don't blame you, Katie. You're busy. I wouldn't take his calls either. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's nice for you to make time for Curtis White. It is.
It really is. And I almost had to pull the Emma White's brother card on it, but I've been talking to Katie's agent. Yeah, it's been very difficult, but I really appreciate both you guys in all seriousness coming on, because it's I always enjoy having these conversations with my peers, fellow athletes, and just getting your perspective on kind of where you are, because I mean, Katie, you're right across the hall from me. We're rubbing elbows in the kitchen every other day, but Gage, you're normally in Colorado while I'm in New York or Massachusetts, and now you're a house away, and we were able to ride and train together. And now we're in this foreign environment where there's a little bit more camaraderie, which is always nice. And again, this is the most people we've had at one time on the show. So really happy that the Wi-Fi was able to hold this up.
Water State Wi-Fi, I'm over the moon. So good. Yeah.
It's never going to happen again. All right, guys. Well, really appreciate you coming on. Thanks for being in the red with us. Tony, take care. Gage, Katie, thanks for coming on. Everyone, thank you very much for listening to this episode. Hope you all have a very happy and healthy new year and you're able to watch some exciting racing. Before we log off, just want to give you all a quick reminder that if you haven't done so yet, please like, share, subscribe, wherever you listen to your podcast. All that stuff really helps us get the word out, help grow the show, and help promote the sport that we love. At the end of the day, we're just trying to get as many people involved as we can and trying to share different perspectives and just spread the good word of cyclocross. That's what we're doing. So there's a lot of really exciting racing coming up. Hope you're all able to enjoy it. Take care, stay healthy, keep riding. We'll catch you next week.